When you have a beautiful new album out, I'm gonna start at the beginning though. People tend to describe you sort of like it's classic country or maybe just country in general. Do you have a way that you describe the music that you make?
Yeah, I would say it's pretty traditional country, kind of that 90s, early 2000s style, with, kind of the modern edge today, a little bit tighter production. Sonically, it sounds, definitely more modern. But, we're still tapping into those traditional roots like steel guitar and fiddle and all that kind of stuff. So very traditional, but still, applicable to today's country.
Who are some of the artists in that influenced you when you were growing up?
A lot of Brooks and Dunn, a lot of George Strait, Alan Jackson, Kenny Chesney, Tim McGraw, really early on, Glenn Campbell and like Don Williams and Jim Reeves, a little bit of Haggard. But really and truly, it was like mostly like that 90s, like top 40 type stuff or early 2000s type 40 stuff.
I love the title Country Therapy. I think a lot of people sort of get that from a country music artist when they listen to their music, though. But this is sort of you putting your stamp on where you get your country therapy or how people get their country therapy. Or it's curious, where did the title come from?
Well, I wrote that song, Country Therapy, a couple years ago, really. The process takes a long time before you actually, have something put down on paper and then, you get in the studio and record and then you release it. So I wrote that song several years ago with Jeff Hyde and Ryan Tyndall. And the idea came from, honestly, the idea came from like, kind of being tired of hearing honestly the bro country stuff on the on the radio. And then we kind of, developed the idea a little bit in the room whenever we were writing it, and um, the song took a little bit of a detour, um, no pun intended, there on the direction that the song lent itself to going, and I think that the product is so much better, writing it the way that we wrote it as opposed to the idea that I had, coming into the room with. But there's a lot of stuff going on. I was actually out on a walk this morning thinking, normally I'll put headphones and listen to a podcast, but this morning I was like, man, I'm just gonna not put headphones in, not listen to anything, and just, be present in the nature around me. I'm in Idaho right now. So I'm in a pretty part of the country and the
Nice.
weather's not bad. So I was just kind of taking it in and kind of that's what it's all about is just like getting out of that everyday, kind of BS that we deal with on the news, talking heads, on social media. It's so easy to get caught up in that. So finding some country therapy is much needed in everybody's lives nowadays, I feel like.
I was just going to ask you what kind of response have you been receiving from the fans to the song and the album?
It's been awesome. We have had a great rollout so far. Um, we've released, of course, we have some stuff from last year, Country Therapy, Denver to Dallas, that's on the album that kind of makes up the whole project itself. But we have had a couple songs come out, well, three songs come out. It's been Heaven on a Hardwood Floor, The Fireman, and Here for the Beer. And all of those songs have been majorly successful. We've seen tremendous growth on all of our streaming platforms. We've seen a lot of growth on social media. We have a ton of tour dates surrounding the album, the Country Therapy Tour, which anybody can check out on my website, wynwilliamsmusic.com. And, it's been awesome. There's been a lot of great things happening, and that is totally due to the great team that I have behind me. I've got new management, I've got new booking, and everything is kind of coming together exactly the way that an artist wants things to come together for them.
You talk a little bit about the writing for country therapy. Is that a typical way you write music, or is there no typical way you write music Do you sit down and have to find a beat first? How do you craft your songs typically, or is there no typical way?
Well, there is a typical way for me, because I have a tendency to get distracted whenever I'm, just by myself. So typically what I do is maybe I'll have an idea, like driving or in the shower or just hearing something in conversation, and I'll just like put it in the notes app on my phone. I've got a huge, note full of titles and lines. Um, and then I go to Nashville and I write up there. Um, just because whenever I'm home, I'm always, handling business. I'm thinking about, touring. I'm doing social media. I've got things to do at home, mowing the yard, feeding the dog, all that kind of stuff. And so whenever I go to Nashville, it kind of allows me to separate, compartmentalize almost, my business from my creative side. I kind of call home in Texas my business space and Nashville my creative space. And so what I'll do is I'll go up there and I'll get my co-writes kind of scheduled for the week or whatever, however long I'm up there. And we'll go into a room at, I don't know, 9, 10, 11 o'clock in the morning, and we'll throw out ideas. Everybody will bring ideas to the table, and we'll kind of, talk about some of them and see what fits. And um, then we'll maybe we'll get on something that makes sense for us. Um, and it doesn't always work. We could sit in there for several hours and maybe get a verse, maybe get a chorus, or maybe get nothing. Um, but generally, everybody brings their A game uh, to the room, and
Sure.
we have a pretty decent amount of success, I would say. And also, it's trying to find guys that you are successful with generally is so important. Writing with anybody and everybody, that's okay, but um, you're probably not going to get your best stuff unless you're with people that are, like-minded or like have the same kind of vision that you do for what you want your music to sound like.
Sure.
Um, and there are times too, like I'll take an idea into a room and I have it in my head one way, and maybe there's another writer or two other writers in a room, and the song takes a different turn. And maybe that song's not for me. I've got a couple songs that I've written that, other artists have recorded. And that's totally fine because, there may be something in the song that I don't see myself singing every night or I don't see myself saying. And so, um, a lot of that is just part of the process. But you kind of hone your craft and continue to chip away at it. And hopefully it all comes together and then you get it recorded and people resonate with it.
Well, the production is wonderful by Brandon Hood. How much of a say do you tend to have on the production end, though?
I have quite a bit, but Brandon's a professional. He's great at what he does. He's a savant. He's amazing. He can play anything. Uh, Watching Brandon work is an incredible thing because everything just comes together so quickly for him. Um, but we always talk about songs. I'm sending him songs all the time. He's sending me stuff all the time. Whenever we're talking about, the production of stuff, we compare notes and kind of talk about what we want something to sound like or what we want to achieve with it. Um, and Brandon's also got a ton of knowledge about the business itself. So, I bounced ideas off of him about specific marketing or, um, trying to get other people involved in my career in the music. Um, so working with Brandon's a real pleasure. I try to bring the best songs that I possibly can and bounce those off of him. And, he brings great songs as well. And um, when we're in the studio, I try to, I like to, I'm pretty opinionated on the way I want things to sound, but I also trust Brandon a lot. And so far, I've not been disappointed by the product that we've been able to get. So I think we'll keep that going for a little while.
My favorite tracks are Denver to Dallas, She Ain't You, and Diamonds Make Babies. Do you have any personal favorites off this 12 song collection?
Um, you know, a bunch of these songs are outside songs that I didn't write. many of which are from, um, Hall of Fame songwriters, great, great, legendary songwriters. And of course, I'm kind of partial to the songs that I've written, Denver to Dallas and Country Therapy, but there are some great songs on this record. And I'm, proud to say that. And I'm not bragging because I didn't write them. So I can say that and, not sound big-headed. But, the songs that we picked for this record just kind of culminate like all of my influences put together. You kind of go back to that modern stuff with a song called Put the Shovel Down, very traditional country. Denver to Dallas is very traditional country. And then you kind of have some more rock and stuff like Heaven on a Hardwood Floor. And then there's some stuff that's like, a little more driving, like Hear You Say It, or there's a song called The Same on there as well. And then you have the tongue-in-cheek thing with Diamonds Make Babies. Um, so, there's kind of something for everybody on this record, which, lends itself to the title Country Therapy, because anybody who listens to this that's a fan of country music can find a song on here that they like. Um, and whether or not they like traditional country or they like modern country or whatever it may be, there's gonna be something that people can resonate with on this record, which is important to me. I don't want to just do the same old thing time and time again. I don't want all my songs to sound the same.
Sure.
Um, my voice is going to sound the same, but the songs don't have to sound the same. And that's what's
Absolutely.
so beautiful about, Brandon Hood is he's so versatile and he can go in and he can do a bunch of different things. And a lot of that too is, the session players, the musicians that are actually playing on the recordings, they're doing this every single day. Um, and whenever they can get in there and they can kind of play some traditional stuff, I think it feels good to them because they haven't been able to do that for a long, long time.
Have you been performing some of these songs live already? I mean, Heaven on a Hardwood Floor and Here for the Beer have to be, total bangers when you're performing them live.
Yeah, we've started playing these in the set on this tour, and we've been getting a really good response. Here for the Beer is one of my favorites. I like drinking beer, and so do the people that come out to the shows. So that song in particular is really great to play live. Um, Heaven on a Hardwood Floor is awesome. You'll see people dancing around to it. We really like playing The Same. It's just kind of a fun, driving song, like I said. And yeah, we play some of the older stuff, but we've really started to lean into some of this newer as well, especially on the Country Therapy tour.
What can fans expect then from a live Wynn Williams performance?
Really high energy, a lot of versatility, a lot of dynamics. We can kind of take you on a little bit of a roller coaster ride from, going down the really fast slopes up to the top, kind of slowing it down, and maybe we'll, quiet things down a little bit, play some acoustic songs as well. Um, play some covers that people love to hear, uh, and then finish strong with some of our bigger songs. Really high energy, just a lot of fun. We have fun up there. It doesn't matter if there's you know 10 people in the crowd or if there's 10,000. We're going to go up there and put on the same show, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
All right. Is there an emotion or a message you really hope lingers with people that check out Couples Therapy as a whole album?
I don't think that I'm necessarily looking for a specific emotion. I want people to get into this much like a therapy session. If they're feeling a little bit down, there's a heartbreak song for them to go listen to. Or if they're feeling down, there's feel good songs that they can go listen to and kind of get a pick me up. If people are getting ready to go out on the boat and have a lot of fun, or if they're getting to go to the bar and have a lot of fun, they can turn on some songs and you know, they can get pretty rowdy to it. Or they can just sit there and turn it on the radio while they're, I don't know, washing dishes. And it's just easy listening for them. But the whole purpose of this album is to not only showcase some of the great songs and some of the great writers, that we were able to get. But it's just for people to listen to and kind of like I said, get out of the everyday BS that we get inundated with all the time.
Is there an artist you would love to collaborate with musically in the future? I noticed there aren't any collaborations on this one for the time being. Is there someone though you would like to go forward, maybe collaborate with in the future?
Yeah, totally. I would love to do some more collaborations. We do kind of have one that we're thinking about. We're just trying to work out the timing on it. This other particular artist does have some new music on the horizon, so we don't want to interfere with what they have going on either. Um, but I won't share who that is just yet. But we're always looking to do some fun stuff with other people. And it not only is it great for the fans, but it's great for us too because we don't always get to see each other. We don't always get to hang out. Whenever we do get to hang out, maybe it's at a show, maybe it's for 30 minutes before the show. Um, and typically, we're getting out of there, they're getting out of there. So it's not always, it's not always like we're hanging out and for an extended period of time. So getting to hang out with people in the studio and collaborate in terms of, putting your creative hats on and just getting to have some fun, making some new music is something that I want to do a lot more of. Um, but like I said, for this particular album, we have something that we're working on right now.
Okay.
But it just didn't make it on the full record right now just because of timing.
What would you like to say then to everyone who are fans and supporters of the beautiful music you continue to put out?
I just like to say thanks for listening. I mean, we have had, like I said at the beginning, we've had a lot of growth on our streaming platforms. We've had a lot of growth on our social platforms. On this tour, we're getting out of state a lot more, getting out of the country again. I just got back from France. Now I'm up in Idaho. We just played Colorado last weekend, Wyoming last weekend. We got Montana next weekend. Then we got to fly back, or then we got to go back home and then fly back to Colorado, fly to Canada, then get up to the Dakotas and Nebraska and Kansas. And so we are getting all over the place to earn some new fans. Um, and the social media thing is great, but anytime you get to, connect with people on a personal level and, face to face is always really, really special. Um, but just, I just want to say thank you for listening to it. And I hope that everybody, is enjoying the music and will enjoy the album and share it with their friends so that we can continue to do this and come play live shows in some of their towns.